Hi, I'm the Battery Professor. I teach people about batteries and how they're used in different applications, covering everything from energy storage for solar, car and truck batteries, including EV, new battery technology, and how to size battery systems for your homes and your RV. Today we're going to discuss which battery is best for your car or your truck. Well, really that depends on so many different factors. But first and foremost, let's talk about what type of batteries are used in a car and truck in a starting application. It's called SLI, which means starting, lighting, and ignition. And they made up that a long time ago, but it's still used today in most starting vehicles. A starting battery uses cold cranking amps, CCAs, which is the amount of amps that a battery, which is stored chemically and then released as energy to a starter to turn over a motor. How many amps a battery will deliver at 0 degrees Fahrenheit? That is CCAs. That is what a cold cranking amp is. That is the main stat you're going to see on most starting batteries. And how big that cold cranking amp number needs to be, how many amps can be delivered at 0 degree Fahrenheit for 30 seconds to start a motor, depends on the size of the motor. If it's a really big motor, you need more CCAs. If it's a small little motor like a V4, V6, you need less CCAs. But in addition to that, there are other factors. For example, environment. You may be driving in a hot climate, but you have a big motor. Well, maybe you don't need 1,000 cold cranking amps. Maybe 700 or 800 cold cranking amps might do. But if you're driving in a very cold climate, you may need more cranking amps delivered to your application, whether it's a car or a truck. Generally speaking, the more cranking amps that a battery will deliver means that it's got more lead in that battery, thicker plates. And of course, that energy that's delivered for starting applications is also available in a battery via reserve capacity. How many amp hours are in that battery, or how much current can be delivered over a period of time to run devices inside of the starting application vehicle that might not be for starting. So for example, your car radio, your lights, your windshield wipers. There may be other loads inside of the vehicle. In some trucks, like commercial trucks, you've got cabs with feature comforts and everything inside of the cab. You might have a little TV or something like that, or a satellite dish, or some people even have a little inverter system where they power a computer or plug in a microwave or make a cup of coffee. Again, how big that battery is, or how many cranking amps and or how much reserve capacity or amp hours need to be available in that battery depends on what you need to run. And of course, from a starting standpoint, how big the motor is. And that can all be determined by looking up in your BCI, Battery Council International, BCI book. And in that BCI book, it references which size batteries are needed for different applications, vehicles, cars, trucks, including starting applications like utility vehicles and even motorcycles and power sports. Even going all the way to your boat out on the lake. You've got to start that thing up. So you need to have plenty of cranking amperage available. So whether it's a car or a truck, power sports vehicle that needs to start, whatever it might be, you need to make sure that you size it correctly so you have the right amount of cranking amps going to your starter to start that motor. And of course, you need to make sure you have the right size charging system as well. Any alternator system is designed to basically cover about 80% of all of the stock loads on a vehicle. So if you have a 100 amp alternator on your vehicle, 80 amps is designed to cover all of those loads when the truck is running that it might need to run, whether it's an onboard computer or, like I mentioned earlier, some of the other things ran through the battery and that energy flowing through the battery, like windshield wiper blades, the radio, the GPS, the lights, you name it. So 80% of what that alternator is going to produce is available for all of those loads, and keeping that battery charged. It's not a battery charger, it is a battery maintainer. So when the cold cranking amps come off the battery and are released from chemical form into electrical energy to turn the starter to start the motor, you need an alternator that has the ability to get it charged back up again from that spot. Not a full recharge. Again, it's not a battery charger. You'll burn out your alternator. It is a battery maintainer designed to keep it fully charged throughout the operation of the vehicle. Now, if you want to power additional loads inside of your car or your truck, you need to maybe upgrade your alternator is one thing you might want to do, because if 80% of that alternator's amperage, 100 amps let's say, is available for all of your loads and keeping that battery charged, that means only 20%, or if it's a 100 amp alternator, just for example's sake, that means you only have 20 amps available to be produced to go to other additional loads. So if you're someone who's wanting to add a bunch of stuff in your truck in the back cab and you still have the same size alternator, you may end up with dead batteries. People in the police world with their police cruisers oftentimes will have different computers and cameras and everything added to their vehicles. You may have people out there who love lights and stereos and really souping up their vehicles, but they still keep the original battery and original alternator. You may need to upgrade that alternator to have additional amperage available for those additional loads. In addition, if you want to upgrade what your vehicle can run, like, car stereos and lights and lots of other things, or computers, or additional feature comforts inside of the cab of a commercial truck that someone might be going long haul in, what have you, and it's above and beyond what you currently have available capable to run with your existing system, you may want to consider going with a dual purpose battery, a deep cycle and starting battery, one that starts and also deep cycles. And thin plate pure lead AGM technology is great for that. But even then, sometimes you need to also think about adding an additional auxiliary battery system that may be able to cover those additional loads. There's all sorts of different dual charging systems that have the capability, if you upgrade your alternator, to power your existing loads, keep your existing starting battery charged up, but also be able to charge up an auxiliary battery bank that you're using for some of those additional loads. Well, those are the best types of car batteries and truck batteries that are available out there. I recommend going with a really good brand that is well recognized, that has a good brand name. AGM, which is absorbed glass mat, we'll talk about that more in future episodes, is a great option. Thin plate pure lead allows for deep cycle and starting. Great for some of those dual purpose needs that you may have that we discussed here today. I'm the Battery Professor. Thanks for joining us here today. Like this video, subscribe, the notification bell in the corner, hit that puppy so that you know when a new episode comes out. Charging your battery knowledge up, I'm the Battery Professor.